I'm now in the front door, and they're drywalling, and there's a mess all over everything. This is the laundry room. I wanted to get above the door. The dimensions, basically above that door to the left, where the studs are in relationship to the door. They're putting in the brick. You hear that in the background. The sunroom hasn't been drywalled yet, or the living room fireplace area. The bedroom. Today is June 10th, and they're here working on the yard. We've got a caterpillar in the yard and a bunch of dirt. This is from up above by the garage. He's moving dirt down along the trees. He's using the caterpillar to move the dirt around the back of the house, and we'll be coming all the way around and filling in so that he can do the backyard. We have Justin here, who's just topped off the tree and is going to take those out. They're up now in the boom truck. We have Justin, who's just topped off the top of the tree, and it's a long ways up there, and there's the, but he dropped the top. I missed with the video, and his other crew, he's over in the boom shop. Justin is now up on top of the tree. I'm going to top off the top. Thought I was going to hit him.
Without what? Without what?
I am downstairs in the basement, and you're now seeing the door coming down into it, and the ceiling's been dropped above. The wall that's in the rec room right now, we're looking at up in the ceiling, in the end of the wall where we can see that we have outlets. There's power outlets from the floor. There's two outlets with a 12 gauge circuit to each one of the bottom two for 20 amps each, and the second one from the floor also connects to the next two above, which is for more electronics that will be put on the cabinet there. The 3-inch pipe is for running wires for the stereo, and you can see that the pipe runs to the back into the basement area so that wires can be pulled through that. Also, it runs up above the suspended ceiling and comes out to and over the top of the ductwork and to the center of the room with another drop for wires for the TV, and it even goes beyond that to provide more wires to the back if a new projector has to go back further in that area. Presently, the electronics is sitting in the back area, and the wires are running up overhead. Uh, what I will do is bring the speaker wires up and back down, not in the pipe. Alongside there will be a new box installed on next to the floor, the one on the left, where the speaker wires will come out where they will connect to the amplifiers in that case. The other wires, some of them will remain in the back, but this will allow us to connect everything together from the back. From this angle you can see that most of the wires hanging on pipe racks up on the top to get down to the other end. At the other end we have the fireplace. All the speaker wires are also put in and just drop down. There will not be boxes for those in this case. The fireplace detail at the floor, raised hearth, you can see from the side where the places to nail, and also on the front the outlet is to the left, and then the top of the fireplace extends out as well in that area. The outlet to the right of the fireplace is wired to turn on the burner. It is a low voltage switch that will just turn on the burner, but it's also parallel back to the lighting panel to automatically control that as well, so that it can be done either way. The gas pipe runs behind, up, and over. That's going to be moved up just a little bit, and there will be gyro wall attached to the ceiling as a fire stop behind the fireplace to give it better protection there as well. The outlets in the ceiling there are for track lighting, and you can see that runs back along the suspended part and goes back to the other outlets where there is another one in the center for a track and another track on the other side. Farther two end ones are wired together. The next outlet box is for a smoke detector that's in the hallway that'll run down that hallway. The power comes into the outlet box up by the projector. The power is into there, and it then provides a dual A and a B circuit, 15 amp. One will provide for there, and the other one runs back over above the bar area and then down into an outlet over there on the wall on that side. We'll do the details over there in more detail. Behind the screen that will be installed in the center speaker, there are two outlets. One of them is for 120 volts, and the other one is for the subwoofer that will go into the cabinet next to that. The powered outlet is powered from the outlet that's over on the wall by the fireplace. From the fireplace we move to the right on the wall, and we have a data outlet which has two Cat 5s and RG6 ran to that, and the next outlet is for power, and that's along the wall before it indents, where one of the side speakers are as well in the rear for the subwoofers. The wiring in the ceiling up above is for power, and also it goes outside wiring so that there's two boxes on the outside underneath the deck for both power that can be switched for the light, and an outlet that has RG5 and RG6, excuse me, and the Cat5 as well, so that we have future capability outside as well. And there's also security wiring coming down from the windows through there, and who knows what else. Oh, what power from up above. Below the other window, we have two outlets. One is for power. The other one wires over back to the electronics area, where that can be used to control a motor for controlling a drape. And it's just a pair of wires for that low voltage that would control a motor. The other outlet next to the door is the Lightcom switch, and that can be switch, which can be set to control whatever we want it to do. Above that switch and the patio door, wire has been pulled for speakers. This would be for rear speakers, and what would need to be done is just cut a hole in the drywall and reach up and pull the wires out. It is right out from the register that will be providing cool air, and you can see that the wire is coiled up, and that can be used and runs to the electronic cabinet for a rear sub or a speaker for surround. Also, by the glass door on the wall, there is wiring for a Lightcom switch. We will mount the 20 light switch there, and it's just the wire it'll be put on a connector and just hung on the wall there. There's also straight up above that area, there's also a 2x6/8 sticking out, but there's wire on top of that that would allow for another rear surround speaker to be attached that goes over to for future wiring in that area as well. The hose above to the right of the window is for the ice maker, and that extends through the poly and down on the floor, extends out near the outlet to the right. The outlet is a ground fault outlet that was put in by the builder that could be changed to a regular power outlet as well. The outlet on the ceiling by the air outlet is for a track light that can be put in the bar area. Above the sliding glass door, we also have a register for cooling as well, cooler to come through at that point. I'm now over in the bar area, and the first higher outlet is for the microwave oven, and then there's power, and it also feeds the wiring to the bedroom on the other side to the outlet below that. There's also a separate feed in the outlet below, which is for the dishwasher. There's two circuits coming in from the circuit breaker panel directly to that point, and it will then distribute the power out and across to the outlets. One circuit, the other circuit will be just for the dishwasher itself. For the dishwasher. The outlet next to that is also just an outlet for in the above the counter, and you can see that there's both the hot and the cold water. The hot water is circulated so that it will go back and can be run by a pump, so that water can be circulated and be continually hot based on temperature. Also, in the soffit above, there's a 17/4 wire for a circuit that will switch lights that can be put into the cabinet. There's no box for that. We'll just cut a hole through where the cabinets will mount and pull a wire through for that. Also above the bar, there's a soffit, and there's two wires up there. That is wiring for can lights that will be put up above in the ceiling. You can see they're out a little ways from the beyond 12 inches. There'll be one located there, and then you can move out to the other end, and there's another one located out there. They're located in call circuit 17.3, is what they are called, uh, for putting those light boxes in. So they move in from the end a little bit, and from the end, and they'll go up and light the bar. Also up above the soffit, there's another outlet box that is for two circuits, both a red and a green light that runs back to the lighting panel, which will be run around the entire bar area over the sliding glass door, which will be lighting the ceiling area. Right over the bar uh, is an outlet box which will handle the 4 Lightcom switches, 2 dimmers, and 2 other switches that can be programmed for whatever functions we want. Above that is roughed in for the intercom, and to the right of that on the wall is for a thermostat that is a Cat 5 wire, so that we've got plenty of wire to, if we decide to do heating as well as cooling, or do cooling down here with that as a second zone. Also, below the outlets in the bar area, there are 2 wires. One of them is for putting an outlet on the end of the bar, and the other one is for lighting the toe space underneath the cabinets that will extend in that area. They're all a 2x6 wall, and you can look at from the video, get somewhat of an idea of the spacing. When we move over to the angle wall, we have 2 outlets on the bottom. The one on the right is being... Okay, now you can see the outlet. That one is switched by the lighting panel, which is right up above. You can see the wires coming in from the back side on that wall. They're in the linen closet. The other one is being directly powered. On the upper part of that wall, we have a box that has 2 circuits, and an A and a B circuit, which will be for the red and the white light that will be above to light the ceiling, and it will run around the entire area in the theater area, and it will run the entire length and provide the light power for that source. Also above the angled wall, we have an outlet which is for a track light, and that is switched as well, which runs over and back into the lighting panel that's in the linen closet. Most of the wiring goes back to that. As can be seen, that there's quite many wires running into that cabinet in the direction they're headed. Also along the bar wall, up above, we have the return hot water, which runs across into the drop ceiling and then runs down the hall and back to the hot water heater, but it also picks up the bathroom as well, the return. Heading in from the rec room into the number 1 on the wall, we have a space to put in the Crestron panel and the wiring behind it. Above that is an outlet for a sconce light that will go down the hall. And then into the linen closet, we have the lighting panel, which has all of the lighting for the 2 bedrooms, the bathroom and the rec room, and switching the outlets in the bedrooms into this panel. And it's wired through the ceiling, everything, and then it comes down. Some of it comes in through the bottom, and but most of it comes in through the top. The inside of the lighting panel, all of the neutrals are tied together, and there is a ground bar where all the wires come in and are grounded. The 4 on the left are the dimmers, and on the right we have the different circuit, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, and then down the bottom are those are 3 amp up above outside of number 18, which is 6 amp circuit for each one of the 4 circuits on each one of those relays. And on the bottom we have L23, which controls the 15 amp breakers, the 4 on the right. They can be manually controlled from here or from the remote switch. The one on the right also controls the air compressor wired from the garage. The dimmers are 800 D1, 2, 3, and 4. They are 800 watts. And then the next one down is a 500 watt, 800 watt dimmer. And these are all from Honeywell Lightcom. And the next one down, the same thing, is a 500 watt dimmer, which are used and ran out and then switched for all the lighting in the theater area and the bar area that are dimmed as well. Power comes directly from the panel. There's two circuits that come into this for the lighting, and it's split up between the two circuits. One goes in to L16 and the other one will go into L14, and then it's wired in the panel and distributed from there out to the different outlets as needed for controlling light. In the linen closet, we go into the bedroom, and there's some wiring running across. There's also the right above we have the return air duct, which will be drywalled and closed in. The wiring in the door is for security, which goes back to the security area for monitoring the door with a magnet. On the wall, once you're in the room, we have an intercom. Below that to the right is an outlet with power for controlling a fan in the future. That could be the dimmer switch for the fan or the speed control for the fan. Also, it's picking up the power from the outlet that's down below. The one on the left is the Lightcom switch, which is a two-bank switch going to be put there, one for controlling the light, one for controlling the outlet. The outlet it will control is over on the bar wall area. The angle wall of the bar, and then in the bedroom, and then straight, we have the first outlet is for power or for data network, which includes two Cat5s and an RG6. And the one to the right is for power. And on that wall we then run over clear to the other end, and we also have another outlet over there for power. Side of the plumbing, and you can see it's 1, 2, 3 studs over. And from the back side of where we have the 4-gang switch on the bar, the one outlet there next from it on the other side in the bar area is the data network. That one is different than the others in that it has 2 or 3 Cat5s running in that area. The wall next to the bathroom has 2 outlets. One of them is for power, and the one on the right side is the data network, which has 2 Cat5s and an RG6. The power for the outlet runs over and is picked up from the ceiling light fixture in the closet. That's the large closet in this bedroom, and the power is then run to there, and it's coming from the other bedroom and up and over, and it runs down to the light switch so that can be controlled by a motion sensor that will be in the closet, so when you move in, the light will come on automatically from a ceiling light. The outlet, or the ceiling outlet, is for a light bulb, but it's also pre-wired for the fan, and it also has the support to support a fan in the future. The supply air runs up above, and that's for mainly cooling because the heating's in the floor. The thermostat wiring, forgot to mention, is over by the intercom. On the right side of the intercom is pre-wired with 2 wires, so that will control the heating on the floor in this area, in this bedroom. Now we're heading into the bathroom, and here the tub is enclosed and wired or piped. The first outlet is over the vanity on the right, which will need to be a ground fault outlet, and it then wires over to another outlet that's on the sidewall in the bathroom. The plumbing is supported from the back, and again, a circulation of the hot water for the sink so that it will be circulated based on temperature. There's also a wire on the floor for lighting underneath the vanity, and that runs back to the lighting panel, and it is used just to light the vanity lights, and we can control that a number of different ways depending on if we want to do it with the switch or do it automatically based on time. As you enter the bathroom, the light switch is the Lightcom switch, and that wires from the panel or back to the panel, Lightcom panel, and it also goes to the other bedroom and to the switch in bedroom number 1. Above that, we have a pair of wires which will control the stat, which will control the floor heating, and in the ceiling we have an outlet box for the return air, and next to that is the exhaust fan, which has a light in it, which both the fan and the light are being controlled by the lighting panel, and the switch on the wall will control each one individually, and it will also control the wiring box above in the sink vanity for the light there as well. In the bathroom, in the ceiling, we have a supply air that has been balanced, measured the airflow and cut it down for cooling in this area as well. Now we're going to do the hall, and we have an outlet on the wall between the two bedrooms, which is on the opposite side of the bathroom wall. There's also another outlet on bedroom number 2 on the wall down at that end as well. We have on the other wall sconce wiring, which has power to it, the one next to the door, and it is capped off now, and then it wires to another sconce wiring on that same end of the hall. We also have a sconce light on the bedroom wall and on the bathroom wall in the hall, and on the other end, bedroom number 2 on the wall down that way in the hall. There's also 2 outlets in the other end of the shop area for outlets. One of them is for a smoke detector, and the other one is for not a smoke detector, but it's for a motion sensor for sensing motion in the hall, and it will then turn on the sconce lights. The other one is for a track light, which goes back to the lighting panel for control. The back side of the hall wall, you can see the wiring for all of the thermostats that comes in, and the valves on the back side for the radiant heat. That can be gotten at from the other side, as can be, so that it's not need to have access from this side. The lighting for the lights in the stairway are up above the step, and it also runs down and hidden behind the insulation at this. This is entering bedroom number 2, and the closet's down at the end, and we have the window and the outside wall. On the right side of the door into the room, we have a couple outlet boxes. The one on the left of as you're viewing it, is for controlling the future fan in the ceiling. It has a power run to it from the outlet down below from the hall, and the other one is for a Lightcom switch. Above that, we have lift in for the intercom, and also for the thermostat for this room, which will control the radiant heat in the floor. Above in the ceiling, we have the return air vent. Above the door is the wiring for the smoke detector, which runs to the other smoke detector down the hall and into the other bedroom. Down the hall we have an outlet along the wall for power, and you can also see the piping for the drain, which runs over for the sink. And we have the hot water in a loop. Also, you can see the by the bathroom on the back side of the tub is a data outlet which has 3 Cat 5s and 1 RG6, and the copper pipe over for the stool, and then over and on up to the ceiling. The hot water is enclosed and insulated. It's 3/4 pipe coming in and half out for the return. That'll be controlled by temperature to pump the water back, so the water will be warm always in the pipe. The wiring then runs from the outlet data, or above the data outlet, over to another outlet near the closet on the floor as well on that side. There is no light in the closet. It's a small closet and should not be needed. The other wall, the long wall in the bedroom, has on the one end 2 outlet boxes. The first one on the left is the data network. The next one is for power, and above that you can see the compressed air wiring for the shop area and also outlets. They are wired along that loop and across from the back side. Also, there's another one at the other end of the room which is for power, and also to the right of that is a data outlet as well, and the ones on the back side are for the shop area. Also, can't be seen very easily, is an outlet on the wall where the door is, and the power for that is gotten from the one in the hall. It's run back and forth between those two. Above the window we have the supply air for cooling, which runs up in the ceiling and then across back over to the ductwork that's running down the hall behind that front. I'm in the shop or watch room at the other end of the hall. Entry into the room by the door. We have 2 outlet boxes, one for 3 Lightcom switches, and then above that for 2. Most likely will be individual switches for the individual circuits, and above will be program switches for different switches. Also, there is wiring for security, for putting in a motion sensor or a door contact switch as well in the hall door, so when the watchroom doors open we can alarm it. Above the entry it is lowered ceiling down because of the ductwork, continuing on from that in the hallway and clear into the other room where the major ductwork for the heating and the cooling and the return air. The outlet in the ceiling above the door is for a light, and that could be track lighting that could run over and under the soffit on the left, which is hiding ductwork and wiring as well. Above that is the return air, which is just open from the end to put a grill in there to get return air from this area. That could be closed off if it's going to be used as a shop where you do not want return air, by just blanking in where the grill area is on it. Also, down along the wall on the entry we have an outlet on the short wall, and on the other side back in the furnace area there's also an outlet there that are powered as well. The long wall in the watchroom left of the window is outlet on the floor of the one, and then all of these are wired together into one circuit that are on the left side. And back to the lighting panel, the one that's for this room, which I'll show you a little later. The first outlet is for power, and then we have the next box is for the speakers in the ceiling. We have 2 speakers for ceiling mount speakers, and the wiring for that is at 3 different locations. It runs back to the main electronics cabinet in the rec room, but it also wires back to this outlet here in case we want to put a stereo at this location and then drive those speakers. The next outlet is the data outlet, which includes 2 Cat 5 and RG6, running back to the normal place for those. and every 4 feet we have an outlet above, and we also have an outlet below, in between, at the other end, the same way, an outlet below and in between, and another one at the top. Closer view down at this end, we have the compressed air next to the outlet, and then the intercom wiring is there as well. Going back to the other end of the wall, the wiring extended out is for a stat, and it's Cat 5 wired back to where the valves are located for controlling the heat on the floor. Back to where the intercom and compressed air outlet is, the wiring continues on around for the outlet next to the window, which would be above where there is going to be a counter. There's also an outlet down on the floor on the lower end. And continuing along the window, there's another one down below. And on the other end, 2 outlets on the other side of the window. One is for speakers, and that's the same 2 speakers can be driven from that end if we put a radio or stereo on that bookshelf. And then there's also power down at that end. On the door out into the storage area, above to the left of that on the storage area side is a lighting panel. This panel controls all of the light circuits, but it also has 4 relays to control the circuits for on the left side and the right side of the room for the outlets. Also, there are 2 spare ones that will control the outlets that will go down the middle of the room once the cabinets are in place with outlets on top of that. And the remaining ones are for controlling lighting in the ceiling. And all the wiring, most of it runs up through to the ceiling. Now we're in the watch room, and the first outlet is connected to a separate circuit, or not to a separate, but to the circuit that'll control the outlets on this side of the room. And again, they run down the wall with every 4 feet. There's also some on the bottom, so that we can plug in lamps on the bottom as well. Also below the bookcase area, there's outlets as well. The first one on the right is for power. The one on the left is the data with 2 Cat 5s and an RG6. The next one over on the left is for power. That's at the lower level. And as stated, coming around the other side, we had the power, and the the one on the right is for the speakers, and the one on the left is for power. Also in the corner, we have a motion sensor, which senses any motion in this room, wiring back to the security panel. All the windows on the lower level have sensors in the windows that open and are run back to the security sensor system for any of them are open. Also, the sliding glass door in the rec room has a sensor which is used for as a separate zone as well. In the shop area, on front of the speakers, or on this side, we have the cool air ducts that are run into the room. And you can see that the return line has been cut in to above, from the bath up above, so that the hot water will recirculate through and bring that back, straight back into the open part of the basement area. There is a radiant heating above, which is ran through aluminum sheets to dissipate the heat, and it's nailed and stapled to the upper floor to heat the bathroom floor as well, which is controlled by a separate stat. The ceiling lighting is controlled by, on the window side, we have 3 outlets for track lighting, one on the right side, one in the center for controlling the track above the main watch bench, and then one on the left, which would be controlling on the left bench facing outside. There is also on the left side another outlet, and these are all separate circuits for a track light. This one's 25-1, which is up in the higher end of the ceiling for the left side of the room. In the center of the room, there is also an outlet for controlling track lighting as well in that area. controlling the main watch bench light that would be facing in, not the outside one. And that's switched as a separate circuit. The existing light in the ceiling is really going to become just a junction box. It's with a plate over that. On the other end of the room above, there we have two boxes, one for a track to go down both sides of where the center counters will be for lighting, and those will be controlled separately as well. Um, the um, framing that extended down on the other side is to get around the ductwork for the Van East system. There's also an outlet there for track lighting in that area, and once you move up to the higher level, there's also another separate circuit for track lighting that will run back out, and it can be another track along the bookcase area. The smoke detector is existing and in the ceiling right now at this time. In this area that will remain there, but all the other ones are wired into that, so they just need to be pigtailed wired together to provide the power to the other smoke detectors as well. You can get a better view of the framing up above, and much of the wiring running through to that lighting panel, and the framing for the other area as well. In the ceiling between the two outlets, I'm now that come out from the remote area of the basement through that back door. We have the two outlets, but right to the left of the circuit that would be the box for the left center countertops, their area, we've got compressed air piped in and plastic pipe, and in that area we will most likely run the wiring down to get it down to the counter as well through that area as well, by just cutting and opening into the area and then pulling the wires down in that area. That will be the main way of wiring will go between to the center island.